we were upside down or sideways or both, I think. So we'll give everyone just a minute to pop on here, and I would really, really appreciate if you're on, if you can comment that we are not directionally challenged this week, that you are actually seeing me correctly. That would be really fabulous. So it's hard to watch someone sideways. So I've had a couple of questions this week that I wanted to address with today's live. One of them was about doing a bedroom set and looking to add a little bit of character and not wanting to get too crazy with color, but not have everything be exactly the same. And the other question was from a customer who was looking for some ideas, again, multiple pieces, and wanting something to feel very Hampton-esque. And so to me, decorating in like a Hamptons kind of style is a little bit more upscale, and you've got a little bit of influence from, I'll show you coastal here, which we have our coastal board here. So you can get into the blues and you know, colors there when you think coastal, but to me, a Hampton kind of style is a little bit more casual, but a little bit more upscale. So maybe not as much color in there, sticking more with the neutral palette that we have in there, mixed with a little bit more of the upscale modern farmhouse look, which again has a lot of neutrals and it gives a little bit more character to a piece. So I'm going to show you a couple of techniques and colors to go with those. So we are working today with the Palace White, which is one of our new colors from the Jolie collection. And I love the Palace White because it's a nice bright white, but it still has great coverage. So our pure white has no tint in it, and so it truly is pure white, but you get the paint a little bit thinner. And to me, it feels a little bit on the stark side. The Palace White is just as clean and bright as the pure white, but to me it has a little more soul. So I call it bright white with a soul. And that is the Palace White, and you're gonna get really good coverage with this too. So I'm gonna work with the Palace White. The other color I'm working with is Swedish Gray, which is one of our signature neutrals in the Jolie collection, and this is my personal favorite color of, I think, all the new neutral colors that we have, because it's the perfect grade. It's not really beige, it's not really gray, it goes with everything. And our personal decorating, we used a lot of linen in the stores and on personal items, and the linen color is in kind of the same family as this. So it feels very comfortable, it feels very cozy, but it's not too terribly warm either. So the Swedish Gray. And then I'm going to use a little bit of linen too, so I've got a little bit of that on there. So I'm going to show you a couple different ways to do a wash with these colors. Do we look like we're on okay? All right, perfect.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. So when I do a wash technique, I like to use just a cheap brush like this that is a little thinner. These are our furniture paint brushes that we sell here at the store. And I'm going to have a cup of water next to me. This is not high tech here. And I'm going to put a little bit of the Swedish Gray over the Palace White. So I'm going to dip in to my water, and I'm just going to paint a little coat of water here. Are we going to be able to see this okay, honey?
Mm-hmm.
Does that look all right? All right, so I'm painting a little coat of water on here and just wetting my surface. And then I'm going to dip into my paint, and this is my, oh, I'm doing linen. I didn't want to do linen. I wanted to do Swedish Gray. Wipe that off. See, this is how awesome it is, because you can just wipe it back off. Perfect.
How about I move in and we'll watch it?
Okay, yeah, absolutely. I'm going to dip into my Swedish Gray because I want something a little softer and more subtle. Is that better? Can you see a little better?
Yep.
It's refocused.
Yep.
Perfect. So I'm putting the Swedish Gray on over the Palace White so that I have a little bit more subtle contrast between my colors. And I'm putting my wash on like that. And then I'm going to take a dry towel, and I'm going to wipe it back to get it where I like it. So doing a wash like this really lets you control how much you have on the surface and make those adjustments as you go. So if I want to pull it off very hard, like this, I can do that and see how it's just very, very subtle, or I can leave it a little bit heavier like that. I can go back and I can just change this however I need to. If I say, oh, I took off a little bit too much, I can go back and add a little bit more onto there. So I get this nice soft look. If I decide that it's too much, I can go in and add a little bit more water to the surface, and I can wipe back more of it. And say I want to leave more just kind of in those crevices, I can wipe that back a little stronger. So you still see that color on there, but it's much softer. Can you tell on the camera?
Not really. Let it dry a little bit because we're getting a sheen.
Okay.
But
Yeah, from the water.
Again.
Yeah. So I'll leave part of the board a little heavier and part of it a little lighter. So we can kind of see that difference as it dries down. These are such pretty colors together. It kind of gives you a little bit of that driftwood feel, but a little softer. So same kind of idea we're going to do here on the Swedish gray, but we're going to do the linen on top. So now we're going to get just a little deeper version of that same effect. Again, I'm going to go over with my water. I had a little bit of paint on my brush, as you can see. And go into my paint. I feel like, ooh, that's a little bit too watery. Easy. So I'm going to wipe off some of that water. And I'm going to go back in with a little bit more paint. There we go. I like that better. So I can, leave it a little heavier like that. Wipe it off a little more. I tend to like to go with the grain a little bit more when I do a wash like this, especially for this type of technique where I want to have a little bit of those drag lines in there because I want to mimic more of a natural type of material like a driftwood or something like that. I think that really lends itself well to that Hamptons style, and it gives you a really nice look. So if you're doing multiple pieces, you can paint a piece, maybe you paint one piece just straight up Swedish gray, and then you paint another piece where maybe you're gonna do the top of it, the Palace white, and the bottom of it you're gonna paint Swedish gray, or do the whole thing Palace white, and then the bottom of it you're gonna do a wash of the Swedish gray over it, so that you've got a little bit of that combo. You've got the nice bright white on the top, but maybe not solid Swedish gray on the bottom, maybe just a wash of it, so that it's a little bit more subtle. And then you do another piece where you do the linen. So you can kind of combine those things, and you can see that all the colors work really well together, and you have great coordination, but not all matchy-matchy. I love doing washes because it just adds a little bit more depth and character to a piece by just slightly changing the personality of the color, not as strongly as like one of the colored waxes would do, and it gives you a lot more control as well. So you can make it as dark or as light as you want. So what do you guys think of those? Can you tell on there?
Here, let me see one.
Yeah. Hold that up.
So raise your right hand. That's the side that's got the little bit darker, and that side's a little bit lighter the other side.
Yep. Show that one. That one you can probably see a little better. But I encourage you to experiment a little bit. Try doing a wash and play around with it. You can always wipe it off, and when you get it to where you like it, you just seal it in with the clear wax, and you are good to go. We would love to see your projects, so make sure that you tag @Fleurish Home if you're posting a picture on your page, or you can always post it in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you would like us to do next week too. We welcome your questions. Thanks so much, guys. See you next week.